as well as hiking trails by day and campsites for the night. Known as the City of Magnolias, Durant's Magnolia Festival of Oklahoma is the most popular of the city's community events, attracting upwards of 20,000 visitors each year. And for a campus of 1,000 magnolias, there's
Okay, bam, bam. We will now bring to order the Keep Durant Beautiful meeting on today, February the 16th. And if everyone will, I call the meeting to order first, and if everyone will stand, Kara's going to give the invocation, followed by Humphrey with the flag salute.
Father God, we just come to you today and we thank you for a beautiful day that we get to serve Durant. Lord, we pray that the decisions we make here today will be glorifying to you and serve our citizens well. Lord, please help us to make the right decisions as we move forward. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to
To
the
the
flag
flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Okay, would the clerk please call the roll?
Board Member Byrd.
Present.
Board Member Miller.
Present.
Vice Chairman Masoner. Chairman Groby.
Here,
None absent.
we all here that are on the board, thank goodness. Okay, under our order of business, number 1, under administration, number A, discussion, consideration, and possible action on banners for downtown Durant. And I know those people, can y'all hear me out there? I know the people down at the sign depot have been a little bit tired of seeing me, because I've been in and out changing this and asking that, and they've been so kind about it. They said, don't worry about it, everybody does it, so I'm not sure about that. But anyway, I don't know if everybody saw the drawings, and Carrie, you saw this, didn't you? And we kind of all, I asked everyone to pick one they liked, and we're gonna decide today, because also, not only are we gonna get these, but we're gonna get brackets. They are going to sell us, and John, I'm not sure if I remember, but I believe, because I don't have that invoice right with me, but I believe that the 20 banners, and naturally Jean's got it, thank you. The whole bill would be $2,184.75. That would be for 20 banners and 20 brackets, which I think is very reasonable, and that's double-sided banners. And I'm not real sure, I had talked to Sarah, I don't really know how many banners we have right downtown. I think when I talked to you, you said something about 9 or 10.
So on Main Street specifically, there's 9, and then you times that by 2. And then if you're doing down first, there's additional, but I believe those are one-sided, not two-sided. Main Street's the one that's one-sided.
And, well, I went ahead and ordered 20, and that way we can put them, I don't know how far down Main Street, but we could even go on past the bank, First United if we wanted to, and we'd have more to put up, and they are double-sided. And if I make anybody mad today, I'm gonna ask forgiveness first, but I do not personally like the double brackets downtown. I don't like having 2 different banners up. Now, that's my personal opinion, and none of y'all might agree, but I think we need just one Magnolia banner, and it needs to be on the street side, and it needs to stand out. And I did notice that when I was reading the Roger Brooks thing, one of the things he said was or suggested was planting trees every 30 feet down Main Street, which, like I told John, there's only, I think, 4 places down there that have the cutout. The rest of it's solid concrete. So in my opinion, having these pretty magnolia banners would be the next best thing to having trees. And plus, we would have a theme, City of Magnolias. So we would kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Then I thought, they told me that at the sign depot, so they will make the banners and the brackets for this 2100. And Philip is going to be so nice is to take the double ones down, and we'll store them. Then if we ever need them, we can put them back up. But the single one, and we will put the double-sided banner on the outside of the street. And before we talk, I guess we ought to talk about that first and vote on it. But we're also going to wrap the light poles with lights. And you and I think you talked about that, and the James wrapped the pole, and I don't think those were quite bright enough, so they gone back to the drawing board and they're working on whatever we need, and it's gonna be solar lights. And from what I understand, they'll stay bright for about 12 hours, and then hopefully the sun will come up and they'll get bright again. And so that, we don't have a price on those yet because we don't know how much those are gonna cost. But we need to talk about the banners first, get that out of the way, because John has said that if we vote on this, he can get us a purchase order, and we can go ahead and get these ordered, because I think they told me that they're, and I may be wrong, but I think they said they're about 4 weeks out. And we need to get those ordered and get them, because by the time we get them ordered and Philip gets up in that bucket and gets them, hanging up. So is there any discussion? Anybody that don't agree with me or want to say anything?
I wish I had printed out the article I read. There is, on the rope, I believe it's the rope solar lights, there is something you can add to them that will make them last longer. But I don't remember what it was. I was doing that last night when I couldn't sleep,
Yeah.
so.
That'll be James and Phil, that'll be the guy's job.
Yeah.
A booster, it sounds like, doesn't
I
it?
think they did call it a booster.
Have, I mean, you riding downtown at midnight, and they dim, and then all of a sudden that booster kicks in, and you have all these, that would be pretty cool. And also, and this is a little bit off track, so y'all can call me somebody that gets off track on the agenda, but I drove through downtown last night, and I noticed that a lot of the buildings have the lights up on top, and they look beautiful. But a lot of them don't have the lights, and a lot of them that do have the lights have some of the lights out. So we certainly want to work on that before the,
So we were working on that at the end of last year. The person who actually put them up is very impossible to get a hold of to find out how to plug them, because the ones that you see are out, they're actually, because they're daisy chained to each other. And so you have to find out where it was plugged in and how to get up there and kind of troubleshoot it. But again, the person that's gone up there, so we need, we have for us to try to find an actual business person for downtown, so we aren't dependent on get hold of to do anything, so, the shop's also working on this.
and I noticed it looks like on one side of the street, there's none. Is that,
Well, not at night. The one that is above Cape Depth, those are actually on, but the timer's off, and so it's on during the day, it's not at night.
okay, okay,
So they actually come on for just a short
okay.
time.
Well, I'm sorry I got off of the agenda here, so. Tom's not here to correct me, so, but, I guess we need to take action on the banners. We need to decide if we want these, if we like one of these, and if y'all wanna look at them again, anybody?
Yeah, I would like to, which one was the winner again that you had the most
The
consensus
C was
around?
the winner.
C.
C was out of, yeah, and, of course, we had some that liked A, some that liked D, some that liked B, and I liked C. I don't really see why we have to put Durant down at the bottom of it in that white. But, and D is beautiful, but I think that with the magnolia, with it being that high up in the air, I think it might look like cotton candy, kind of, instead of a magnolia.
I prefer C. C would be my choice as well.
Okay, are we voting on it? Do we have a vote here? Do we have to?
I'll motion we approve the banners for downtown Durant.
I second.
Which one do you?
I'll motion we approve the banners, C, for approval for downtown Durant.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Does that also include the brackets, Humphrey? They listed in with this purchase order.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be, I mean, I don't think it, we don't have to, I don't think we have to get into detail like that. I'm sure the
Okay,
citizens know we have to have brackets to hang them, so I think we're good.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, Kara seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. It finally did. We really need music playing. Okay, Well, you know what? I'm sitting here and forgot to vote.
You voted yes.
Well, I voted anyway. Okay, motion passes. Okay, the next item, B, discussion on downtown pole lights, decoration, and possibly action. Does anybody want to discuss what they think? Sarah, do you have any thoughts you would like to? So-
Are we looking at doing rope lights, is that what we're getting versus, I was a little quite sure which type that we're looking at. The only other thought is, kind of what to John, if we can, is there solar panels that we can actually put on the top of them, just like regular lights and that, which you can't get commercial. Because the solar panel ones, the solar panel lights, it's harder to get commercial grade, you can't find that anywhere. And so that's just another thought, if you can't find specific commercial lights that have the solar panel.
And I think, Philip, was it you that talked about rope lights?
Yes, I have some for my camp trailer, you know, but I think they're 110, that's the only problem. What you'd have to do if you're gonna have a solar panel plug in, they'll have to put a problem. I don't know if you get solar panel. Possibly. I'll check around and see what I can find.
Can we all agree that we like the idea of the pole lights, wrapping the poles, and then let you guys figure out how we're gonna do it? Is everybody in agreement with that?
You'd probably be better off with the rope light on those poles.
Well, that's gonna be you guys' department. Is everybody okay with that?
What is the decorations part on this agenda item? It says, pole lights and / decoration. Was there more decorations we were looking at versus just the banners? Okay, perfect. Just wanted to confirm. Thank you, Ellie.
And I really don't think we need to vote on this. I don't guess we do, because we're just discussing it today and we don't have anything to vote on. We don't know the price or anything. And Philip, you're gonna kind of find out what we need, and we'll go from there. The main thing to me is getting the banners up first. It's kind of bare downtown right now. And I don't know if I told y'all, but the representatives from OMA will be here, right, Ellie? And they won't stay very long, but they'll be here long enough probably to look a little bit. But we definitely want all this done before June, when we have the convention. Okay. Moving on, 1C, discuss landscaping updates and possible action. And Kara, that's you and Andy.
Well, that's more Andy. I just helped him put pictures together. That's really it. But Andy, if you want to come up to the podium. So based off of the conversation we had last time, we definitely liked the desert plants, and kind of task Andy with putting together some potential ideas and thoughts on what it would look like for City Hall. That was what I had him do as the main focus before we moved forward with the airport and the off-ramps with 6975. So in front of you, you have the different plants that Andy is proposing that would look good, and then you actually have a couple of renderings of City Hall. But I'm gonna let you guys ask Andy any questions that you have. His bid's in the back. Andy, I don't know if you actually took a packet, but here's your packet. if you want.
I'm good.
Okay.
I should be.
have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Over on the corner of the building, out here where the loop comes
Yes.
out, you're showing that with the tree.
Yes.
Okay, this is gonna fall into our next discussion, but that's the area where we are considering moving Dixon Durant to.
Okay.
So, but I don't see why I couldn't have remove the tree but still have the same plants.
Around it.
So what is going there?
The Dixon Durant statue that is currently in Market Square, we're looking at relocating it here to City Hall, and that's a potential space for it.
And that's
Okay.
little circle there.
In approximate
That's in the
size?
corner right behind basically behind the peanut.
I mean, yes, that's a possibility. The reason I was wanting to do a tree there was to fill in that void.
Well, once they move Dixon
So-
Durant there, well, then that will fill in the void,
Yeah.
and then put the plants
And-
around it.
And obviously, this, we're gonna discuss a little bit of this, but, what you see on paper doesn't mean it's going to work 100% exactly
Right.
like that whenever someone's out there, you know, installing something. So those things do wind up changing a little bit, you know, maybe spacing or more, which you'll see in a second, but more grasses versus this type plant. So things get adjusted just a little bit. So that's, obviously there'll be a little bit of adjustment there, but not a, I don't think that'd be a big deal.
Andy, are most of these plants low maintenance?
That was my goal, was to, which I know that the less labor intensive, having to call on somebody to make sure it's maintained, make sure it's trimmed, make sure it's cut back, make sure it's watered, all those things I'm trying to eliminate as much as possible. So yes, I would consider 90% of this drought tolerant. There'll be a few that will need to be cut back at the end of the year, but that's once a year, not like hedges where they have to be trimmed 3-4 times a year. And it's not necessarily trimming, it's if it's a Mexican feathergrass or the muhly, pink muhly grass.
Just cut it at the ground.
Yeah, it's six to, depending on what stage of life it's in, but 6 to 12 inches off the ground. It's as simple as that. I do have Texas sage in there. You know, that could be, you know, cut back every 3, 4, 5 years, depending on what it looks like, what's dead, what's not. You know, those kind of have to be maintained a little bit, but they're very drought tolerant and low maintenance other than that.
Andy, how long would it take to get this done? Looks like a lot of work.
Yes, process of getting it done, start to finish, I think can be done in a week, for sure 2 weeks. It just depends on weather, all the things that are, you know, you kind of have to work around. Material, shouldn't have a problem with any material, getting it in, supplies, plants, stone, whatever. So that shouldn't be, you know, an issue, but I would say anywhere from 7 to 14 days, it
Right.
should be able to.
Andy, is this using, starter plants or larger, more mature plants?
The,
Or both?
so pretty much the largest plants you can get, and the majority of the stuff is gonna be 3 gallon, okay? And then, as an example, the Mexican feather grass, you'll see on there, those are only come in 1 gallon. So they're gonna be small anyway, they're not gonna get big. But any of your, yuccas or the Texas, sage or any of those are all gonna be 3 gallons. So once they're planted, everything still is going to be small. I mean, it's not gonna be, you know, 3 foot out of the ground. Now, your trees, of course, you know, like the desert willow, which I was gonna, put in that one spot, we'll X that out of there. So the blue, arrow junipers, those I believe are gonna be 15 gallon. If I can get them in a 30, obviously it'll be a little bit more, in cost, but if I can get them in a 30, I wanna get them where they're a little more, you know, growth on them, you know. But right now, that's all I could get quoted on. I didn't want to come at you with a 30 and not be able to get it and come back with a 15. You say, well, I thought. So, I would say that the junipers probably be 4 to 6 foot tall, somewhere in there, and probably be about this big around. Now, growth-wise on that, just so you'll know, 2 foot wide's as large as that'll get. I was trying to find something, because those beds are very, very small. I mean, they're they're not big on a lot of room, coming away from the building. So I was trying to find something a little bit smaller, but still not be 30 foot tall once, you know, it outgrows the actual building itself. So those will go to about 15 to 20 foot tall,
Okay.
which the building, I think, just looking at it's probably like 18-ish, but you probably won't ever see it get 20, honestly. Also, another thing I tried to do was find stuff that would be deciduous or evergreen, so that we don't have a lot of, you know, missing during the winter months, fall months.
These are beautiful plants, and I can be the first one to tell you, I don't do yard work, so I have no idea I know what looks good, but I wouldn't know how to put it all together. I do want to say, I think, and John, you can answer this question, I think, do we not have to get more than one bid for this? Okay, and Humphrey, I think you had someone that was gonna.
Three, don't you? Yeah, I was thinking
Yes,
it was
Humphrey's got someone that was gonna get us a bid because the city, we don't wanna all go to the pokey over this. Or I don't, I think they're pretty crowded over there. But I love your design,
Thank you.
and I don't know when your friend's gonna he don't have his today, does he?
No, no.
Okay. I like the gravel too, because that, you don't have to worry about, hopefully, the weeds growing up real easy between there.
Well, and the thing is, once you put the landscaping fabric down, and then the rocks on top of that, landscaping fabric can be deceiving. I normally don't use it in any of my beds, but when you're doing a rock bed, you need to, because otherwise, you know, start getting the mud and the rocks start falling down into the ground. So you still can get weeds, because you have to keep in mind, you have to cut to put the plant in the ground. Then if a bird drops a seed, wind blows, drops a seed, or then you can have stuff growing out around that. So, and then, you know, the edging of the that you have out there now, the concrete looking blocks, you know, whenever that paper, or the fabric goes down, in between there, you can have some stuff pop up. So there is gonna be a little bit of, but it's as simple as, in my opinion,
Spot
spraying
spraying.
a
Yep.
herbicide. I mean, I wouldn't.
One
whenever
other
stuff pops
question.
up.
If,
That's in any bed. I mean, you're gonna have something.
what's the time we're looking at from start? Did I already ask you that?
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
know
Well,
if I
that's
got
okay.
it.
7 to 14 days. And again, that's, weather permitting, getting
Right,
everybody
that's
on
gonna be-
schedule.
And when would this, I mean, I know you can't get out and plant this stuff in the snow and stuff, but when is the right time of season? Would we be able to get all this done before the mayor's conference?
Yes, that's in June, you said.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
that correct? Is that correct? You said June?
Yes, and I'm not
Sometime in
sure
June.
the
It does,
date.
that's fine, but yes, it can,
It's on later in June.
it can be
so
done
would
before
be
that.
good.
That's not an
Okay.
issue.
Okay, all right, that sounds good, so I like this, so
I-
we'll have,
The only other thing that I would like to say is, if there was any adjustments to what I've presented, that would be redoing the actual edging itself. I didn't put it here because that's not, I don't think what y'all expected me to walk in with,
right,
because that number would be obviously a lot different. But like I said, the beds are, in my opinion, the edging, recreate the beds, design the beds, still similar, but I think that should be something to think about.
okay. Okay, it sure is beautifol.
Thank you.
I like the fact you included some flowering bushes in there.
Yes, the red yucca will have, now, keep in mind, it might take a year, 2 years, up to even 3 years before those actually start,
that big.
you know. But there are a few other plants in there, that will have that, but again, you know, depending on the maturity stage.
One thing I think is interesting, if you look at the picture where you got the tree, this picture right here, if you look where that tree is, imagine that that's where Dixon Durant will be, and that's a real good place for him to be. From the top there, see, he'll show up pretty good there. Right, don't y'all think, John? He's the tree. Boy, City Hall sure looks nice with plants in front of it, don't it? Yeah. Okay.
Andy, did you take in consideration any kind of dirt removal, like material like underneath that might not be suitable for plants that you may have to remove and put in fill dirt? Did you?
So, what's existing, the good thing is about these, the good thing about about these plants is they can tolerate the soil that we
Red
have.
dirt, clay stuff.
Yeah, so what I would wind up doing is getting it sprayed and then till it up,
Gotcha.
rake out whatever is able to be raked out on the weeds, if you will, and then go in and that way the dirt is a little bit loose, but then put the landscaping
Gotcha.
cloth down. But
Any other questions for Andy? Do you have any questions for your husband, Kara?
I do not. Not at this time, madam.
Okay, well, what we're gonna do is we'll have to wait till we get the other bid, and then Andy, we will be getting back, we'll probably have to have another meeting to finalize this.
Yes, ma'am.
But we thank you, and we love the design, I think we all
appreciate
do,
it.
so.
I appreciate it.
Hopefully it'll work out. You've done a good job.
Thanks.
Thank
you, Andy.
you. Okay, 1D, discuss, update, and relocate Dixon Durant statue and possible action, and that's you. I believe you could put him on your back and bring him over here.
He really isn't. No, it'll take 3 or 4 guys to pick him up.
Is he real heavy?
I've talked to Miss Umstead. I don't think it's going to take a crane to move him. What he is screwed to that base. And then that base is hollow that he's on now. So we're going to have to turn that and unscrew him. And it's going to take a minute, but I think we can do it. So, and as far as what we're going to put him on, we're going to have to make us a pedestal out of cement. And depending on how tall, we're going to make it ground level. But I'll have to drill holes in it so I can screw him to that and then place him where we need to go. And do you have any idea how big of a plaque you're going to have made that describes him?
No, we're gonna have to have a plaque. We thought we could get the one from, the park, but and I don't know, do you know how big that one is at the park, John?
It's a good 3 foot tall.
We don't we really don't need anything huge, do we? Just a little, about like this. Does that look about right? Just a little plaque to put in the ground beside him. Because he's not even, I don't think there's anything identifying him down there now, is there?
No. What he's sitting on now does not
nothing-
have anything to do with Dixon Durant. It has to do with cafe, the old cafe that was on the square, and then a couple of generals or something. Yeah,
Sign has a different.
Right.
yeah, but not anything about Dixon Durant.
And I
Well,
think,
my idea was if you had a plaque, we could build a cement stand for it and have it angled where you could put the plaque on the face of the angle right beside him,
okay,
where people could read it, you know, where, you've seen how they've done plaques, and just put that into the cement. But it's up to y'all. I mean,
well, just so we identify him, a lot of people don't even know he's there. Not only do they not know that he's there, they don't know who he is.
right.
And you know, in truth, when you ride by, all you see is those trees. You don't see Dixon, you don't see a statue. I've had people
Unless you
say.
come in the parking lot.
Right. And-
But yeah, Miss Umstead said that's how, he's hollow. So he's not that heavy. She said probably 4 guys, one on each arm and one on each leg, can put him on a trailer and we can move him. So,
So we'll basically just leave that base down there.
right.
Because that's where it was. Well, Janie had told me that they just stuck him up on the
Yeah.
base. And I think, John, some of y'all, we've mentioned talking about putting him kind of level, so if people want to have their pictures made with him, they can stand by him out here. And then from what I understand, the big peanut is gonna be gone next year. I think they're talking about moving it to, museum. So that'll leave that, so it'll kind of make him a focal point. So I guess if you can get him moved and sitting up out there, we'll figure, well, we need to do the little bracket thing or the little thing before you move him, or will all that need to be done at the same time, or can he be put up and then the little bracket put up there, Philip?
Yeah, we can set him on concrete, and then when we get the plaque, we can make the
Okay,
pedestal for the plaque. All that in cases is forming up and pouring some concrete.
okay, and I think the plaque, I don't guess it needs to say a whole lot, and I'm not sure, Carol, if you think you can do the plaque, if we ought to ask Janie, since Janie did the statue, if you ought to work with Janie on that.
Yeah, I can get with Janie and we
Yeah, I
can
think,
create
yeah,
something.
because I was real careful to ask Janie before we even thought about moving him.
Right.
because You know how artists can be. We
Yes,
didn't want to
ma'am.
upset Janie moving her statue, but she was thrilled to
Yes,
have
she
him moved.
was. When I was on the phone with her, she was.
Yeah, she's very thrilled to
She
have him
was.
moved. So if you don't mind, if you could kind of work with Janie
Yeah, absolutely, I'd be
on how
happy
to word that, what we need to put on it, and how to do the plaque,
Yeah.
then,
Yeah, we can set him there, and then we can put the plaque there whenever we
Afterwards.
get.
Philip, when do you think y'all would I know y'all don't have anything to do, and
Well,
when,
it's gonna rain here tonight and tomorrow, so maybe next week.
I mean, we're looking at pretty soon.
Pretty quick, yeah.
Yeah.
All we have to do is figure out how we're gonna get him tilted
Well,
to get to the screws.
I just bought a tractor, so I'm itching and dying to use it on
Oh,
something.
Lord,
So,
that's all we need, y'all.
We
with the
just got a
tractor.
brand new skid steer, so
Oh, well,
Are we
there you
gonna
go.
them
move it-
boys are
are we gonna move it
itching
the
to use
redneck
it.
way?
I could do it, I think, cheaper, maybe.
But me and the parks guys, we'll figure it out. So
And
probably around next week or something.
And even if we got him moved and got the banners up before we got the lights done, but still the lights need to, I think the lights would really enhance downtown, and since it was such a mess about getting them all the way across the street and the expense, and this would not be as expensive, it might, but I think it would be kind of pretty. And those lights that are up on those poles are really pretty lights. If y'all have ever noticed them, y'all might not have noticed them when you drive by, but,
Yeah, I can when I find the lights, we'll get the guys up in the bucket trucks and get those done. It
Okay.
won't take long.
okay. So we can assume,
We're
do
not
we
mowing
wanna,
yet, so.
do we wanna make a motion or have a vote on, having Philip and them proceed with moving Dixon Durant? Huh? Okay. If we don't need one, Philip, we'll just depend on you to get it done. Uh-oh. Oh. Yeah,
Because it's a statue, and so they have to say yay or nay on where it goes or what it, so. Yeah,
can we get him on the planning commission next week?
yes, ma'am. Well, whenever it is. It's not, is it next week? Yeah,
When is it?
the first week of March, so.
Okay, so Danielle, we can get that on the planning commission?
Do we need to make a motion to do that?
No, we can just, we'll put it on there. So, we'll do it based on y'all's recommendation.
Gotcha.
So,
As soon as it goes through there, I
Okay, thank you, John, for reminding us. I knew that you'd told
and then
me.
we'll have to go to council, so.
Perfect.
Then the
so
council
it'll
will
be-
have to approve
So it'll
it.
be that second week of March when it goes to council, so.
So Philip, you got a little bit longer time.
About a month, yeah. So,
that gives me time to figure out how to unscrew it.
Yeah, and I guarantee you Janie can't help you there, and I don't know if anybody's around still that did that.
I don't either.
I don't have a clue
I
about
know
that,
there were some city guys that helped, but I don't know who they were.
and we might not wanna know who they were. Is there any other business? Anybody got anything they wanna say or discuss?
One of the things that I've been thinking about is as we're doing the improvements at City Hall, I would love for us to update the Durant City Hall sign that's out there that right now is hiding the air conditioners. Right now it's the green and it's the tin. I think it would look really nice if we could update that to the lettering that actually says City Hall, that's above the door. It's that kind of cast, not iron, but it's just lettering versus an actual, looks like sign that was put on it, if you guys are following. I mean, we could walk out and look at it in a little bit, but I think that's something we should consider as well, because it would just update that area a little bit more as we're making all the other improvements before the mayor's conference comes here. I think that'd be a nice, quick, easy, cheaper fix too. Just a thought.
Are you talking about the one that's above the doors or the one that's?
The one
on the
that's
ground.
below, that is right where the ACs are, you know, it's kind of
On the
covering
ramp,
all
it
of
says
that, and it's
City
green,
Durant.
it says Durant City Hall, and it has a magnolia up at the top of it. I was just thinking if we maybe updated that sign, I don't know the last time that it's been done,
It
but if
hadn't
you
been
look
that
above
long,
the
has it?
doors, it's got City Hall. Of 19 is when that was done? Okay.
Updated how?
So making it to where it's not an actual metal sign that's on it. If you look up above the door of City Hall, it's got just lettering that says City Hall. So I thought it would look really classy if we maybe did that in conjunction with it, so it has the same flow, if that makes sense, Jean?
Instead of looking like a sign, it looked
Right,
more-
right. It
Right.
would look like it was designed in there that way.
Come on up, Andy.
Out here is very similar, if I'm not mistaken, to all the entry signs.
No, our entry signs into the city, which we had actually talked about at our last meeting, they're painted blue behind them, and it's actually the same lettering that's up above City Hall. So if we redid the sign in front, it would actually match what we have at our on-ramps and up above. Does that make sense, Jean?
Well, one thing I've always said is the sign over the city that says City Hall's too small. Somebody skimped on money when they had the letters that say City Hall, to me, are too small. Oh, it's cheap today, John. But don't you think it's a little bit small, because in most places,
wartime, wasn't it? Yep.
yeah. And of course, I guess it's an antique, so it's part of our history, but it is small, those letters. I laugh every time I go by there, because I'm like, that's something probably I would have done to save money, you know. But they are kind of small, but that's probably a good idea. That's something we can think about.
Well, maybe if you think those are small up top, we might be able to do something with moving those to that sign she's talking about. To
And
correspond
make-
with-
putting
then-
some
and then
new
put
ones up.
something bigger up there at
Yeah.
the top.
That'd be a thought possibility. I was just thinking through branding, you know, as we're going through it, I think it would look
Looks more
nice.
professional, kind of just, I mean, I don't know if that's a word, I don't know if that's a word. I'm looking
Well, look
for.
a little more modern and
Yeah.
sleek and be a good, an accurate representation and a good foot forward for the city, I thought.
And see, those letters up top would fit on the smaller.
Yep.
So Humphrey, that's saving money, so that's good deal.
So does that mean I can have maybe a statue down on the square now of myself? And you're gonna have to reinforce the base a little bit, I'm pretty sure.
We don't have room, we don't have room to put you down there, Humphrey. I don't think Philip and them could carry, three of them could carry you,
Yeah.
statue. Anybody else wanna say anything? Jean, you got anything you wanna say? Humphrey,
I still like my statue idea
you're which one?
for me, of me,
Oh,
the
okay.
statue of me, but
All right.
he's got something. Yep.
Sure.
Well, sometimes we can complicate something real easy, so.
Oh,
let's
I
hear
don't
it.
think
Let's
so.
hear it.
Well, one thing, as we were talking, as I was hearing Andy talk, I do know that Serve Durant is coming up here at the beginning of April, I believe. I think.
April 2nd.
April 2nd. And I do know in the past, when they were doing this in the fall, that there was still potential for opportunities to do different projects. And I don't know if they do have that right now, but we do have enough time that if there are streetscape projects that volunteers could potentially help do, that might be an opportunity to help with something like that. They did, yes. Yeah. Yeah, and when I've talked to like Jim Penna and them in the past, there's just opportunities. So anyway, I bring that up in saying if there's something that y'all can think of that some citizens or whatnot can do, then that could be something that we could look at adding to that. Or even if we do a different day between now and then, Blue Zones project or something, we could host something, co-host it with the city even, to do something like that as a served day to try and whatever you think from that perspective, just a thought. The other thought was, as y'all were talking about moving it, and I just happened to Google, according to some other, I guess, time stamps on the community in general, it says that our community first started getting settled in 1872. This year would be 150 years. So I was thinking as if we move Dixon Durant down here, it might be a cool opportunity to maybe get some of the schools involved and do a time capsule, which we could then either plant underneath the base or something like that. But it just might be a way to even advertise in the press side of the movement and get some more interest in that. So
We
anyway,
have a time capsule under the peanut that's gonna be open next year.
We're talking about, 1872. In 1973, Durant celebrated their centennial, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
They missed it by a year.
a year.
And they went, so if Durant is gonna celebrate their 175th year, which kinda hard to get it all in this year, some of this stuff that we're talking about doing, we need to incorporate getting Durant cleaned up, dressed up,
Absolutely.
and coordinate all of that as much as we can together.
I would not, I couldn't agree more on that.
I don't know if anybody, if any of the, I just saw a mention on Facebook yesterday, so I brought that up. But, and so I don't know, if the chamber or Imagine Durant or any of them, us or the council, are working on anything for a celebration, but if we are, we need to.
For this year specifically?
For the 150th
Yeah, for this
celebration
year.
that you were talking about, I don't think that it's even been on anyone's radar. It's the
I-
first.
It is?
They are?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think,
I was gonna say, I actually seen Mike Davis post something about it. I think it was this morning or last night. So,
yeah, so anyway, I agree with you. Any way that all of us can come together and help in whatever capacity we can, that would be amazing, in my opinion. So, that's all I had. Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you very
Brandon.
much, Brandon. Anybody else? Sarah, you wanna say anything?
I guess I'd like to know, would there be a possibility as we look to get lights on some of the other buildings, if there'd be some extra, maybe we can get the lights on the light poles, but we can get some of those other buildings set up, if there'd be anything extra.
I'm not sure I heard you. You might have to come up, could you come up here?
For the lights on the buildings, how we have, I'm so short, I'm gonna like on my tippy toes. For the lights that are on the buildings, if there's any possibility for a grant or anything else like that, funding to help get those on those buildings, as well as maybe help with the maintenance of the ones that are not working. For, the lights that you were talking about that are on the tops of the buildings that are on the street. Because those we could definitely get and get powered, no problem, while we may still be looking for the pole lights. So that would be it.
Yeah, we definitely want those to look nice, because you can have lights all down the street on the buildings, but the very one that's out's the one you notice.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
serious, it
Oh, yeah.
is. It's the one that kind of draws your attention.
Sure.
Sarah, do you have an estimate on how much? goes
So
on?
I believe, at least when they did them last year, it was a price per foot, but most of them seemed to be about like 200 something per space.
Okay.
But as far as maintenance, just to find out what the problem is and get it done, one, I've got to find someone. So I've gotten one name I can check out, but just who was doing it doesn't have time to do it, and so we have to kind of find someone maintenance wise for downtown to actually go up and go on the buildings and stuff like that. But I could get that to you guys. put that together, how much it was per that, per foot. It was per foot. So then we'd have to measure the buildings and kind of go from there.
Yeah, okay, we can look, we don't even have a ballpark figure, we don't even have an idea yet what the rope or the whatever lights we put around the
Right.
poles are gonna cost. Do we, Philip? I mean, we couldn't even say from this amount to that amount, it's just, we don't know.
Sure.
The only thing we do know right now is Andy's given us a bid, and then we have the banners that I'm gonna go down and put the order in for.
Okay, and then the only other two questions I have, just technicalities, I guess, or when the statue's removed, are we filling in the holes that are on that base? Is that base staying in Market Square, and so those holes will be filled, so we don't have holes on the top?
The base will stay at the square, right?
Uh-huh.
And it'll be okay, it'll look just like it always did, you know, it'll have the different things it talked about on there, right? I mean, when we take him off, it's not gonna leave a big hole in there.
Well, you'll have the drill
The
holes.
yeah.
They'll have holes where the
Okay.
bolts were, but I'm sure we can find some.
Right, that really needs to stay down there because it's a part of the history, I think. I don't
For
know where
sure.
we'd.
Of the
I don't know where
cafe.
we'd put
For
it.
sure, for sure.
We don't have
mean, yeah, it
room
talks
at
about the
City
cafe,
Hall
so.
for it, so.
And then the other one is, do you guys have plans to do a path to the statue, so that way people aren't just walking on the grass to get to it? Because I don't know how many people who would actually just do that if they didn't know they could walk on the grass.
Well, first of all, there's not even grass out here for them to walk on. But I think the way that I saw this, it's not gonna be any different than coming to the Big Peanut when you access the Big Peanut. Are you talking about?
So the peanut is right next to the sidewalk. Isn't the statue going to be in the actual flower bed?
And
So you've
it's
got
gonna
grass
come-
between the street.
But it's where
so-
the flower bed comes out, which the point of it, the end of it is not far, if I'm not mistaken, from the sidewalk. So he'll be pretty close there. And I guess if it gets to the point where we ever get grass there, if it looks like it's gonna be a problem, we can put some little stepping stones, can't we, Philip? Okay,
Okay, awesome.
okay, that was good thought, though, I hadn't thought of that. And I
Thank you,
doubt
Sarah.
most people have, they'll just traipse through there. Getting up to the statue to look at it. That's what we were just talking about. If when we get grass, we're gonna have to try to get some sod, I guess, planted out there. And it's such a small area. I really wish we could fill the whole front of it up with gravel, with the rock, those decorative rock out there, and make a garden out of a whole, you know, a little flower bed out of a whole thing. But I don't know how much front space you would consider we have, but we don't have much front space at all to put, I don't even know if anybody come in here and put, grass down for that, sod down for the trouble that it cost them to get in here to do it.
Well, I know Andy and I have talked about grass as well, and our conversation was on the side of the building where that tree is at. It will not grow at all,
Right.
so it's almost pointless to even spend the money on it because of the shade.
But what I was thinking, Carol, was more right in directly front of the city, those two areas right in front of the city hall. That are just three, and they're not very, Philip, how wide is it from, it's not, doesn't look 12 feet from the, that's a very narrow little area between there. And it'd be beautiful if we could fill it up with gravel and put plants, stick them, and just make the whole thing a garden, but that would not be feasible, I guess we. But maybe we can find somebody, the people that carry off the waste from the plant, do they do sod, Philip? The Ebon Shades or whoever they are?
I think he sells the sod farm.
Okay,
You can get sod, you can buy how much ever amount you need. You don't,
well, the only thing you have to do is put it down and then keep it watered real well. And that'll be the problem, getting somebody that's gonna water it. I guess I could volunteer a day, and Humphrey could volunteer a day, we could all come, take a day to come down and water it. But how long does it take to take hold once you, unless we had a lot of rainy weather?
My opinion is
think it would be
But-
beautiful.
But, I mean, obviously, you know, you just have, budget-wise would change drastically, because you're talking about a lot more bed, but you also, don't have to worry, you could even do it without edging, because you have the concrete as your edge. You know, so you could eliminate having to worry about edging, you could get rid of what edging is out there. You could, throw in boulders, more boulders or whatever, and they could just, just take up space. They don't need water, they don't need, that was back to why I was wanting to do a dry bed, was that you can use the gravel, the rock, and then you don't have to worry about mulch, you don't have to worry about any of that. But if all that was done, I think it would I know you don't have those photos from whenever Kara presented what I was, talking about doing whenever we talked about the airport or whatever. But if you go back to those pictures that she presented y'all however long ago, that whole bed was done, not just part of it, didn't have a yard, it was all 100% done, they don't have any yard maintenance. But it's a totally different ballgame.
Well, no more than it is. Philip, how would that look? I mean, would it be feasible? It would look unique kinda to have the front of it.
I think it would look better than what it is now, but that's.
Well, anything would look better than what.
Well, I know.
But,
I'm saying-
but I think,
Let me rephrase. So the beds that we just discussed about putting in,
mhm.
it's still gonna not feel completed in my opinion because of the edging and the beds are still really tight up against the building. So that's why I was saying, get rid of the edging, update the edging, bring the beds out, redesign them a little bit. You could stagger plants more versus plants in a row. In the front of the building, down the side of the buildings, you're only gonna be able to do one plant, versus staggering. If you did the whole thing, you could do an awesome thing.
Well, it sure solve the problem of the grass, plus, Philip, if we have grass that's gotta be cut out there. And we gotta take a guy to cut the grass that don't take long, but he's gotta load a lawnmower up and do it, and, just the time element. It's something to think about. All of y'all that are yard people, think about something we could do out front. Humphrey?
I was just going to ask him if he might be able to add that to his bid, kind of give us an rough estimate. I know the numbers aren't going to be exact, but just kind of give us an estimate of what doing all that you're talking about would cost. Okay.
Carrie, you got that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Back to what you mentioned earlier about the tree, that I don't know if you know, but like 2 weeks later, yes, or somebody, that tree was all trimmed up and everything. So now we get some sunlight under there, that can start going in. It'll take it a while because it's not being watered. If it was being watered, it would feel a little warmer a lot and all that. But obviously that.
Well, even if we planted sod there, even if we planted new grass, it's still gonna have to be watered. And that, to me, is where it's not gonna get done, let's face it. Because, and I'm not criticizing Philip, any of y'all, it's just that we don't have time to go water that little bitty area. And if we could do the rock garden and do that, and it could be less maintenance, I think that might be better. I'm beginning, after I found out on Halloween, when I had all those beautiful mums put out there, and they didn't get watered, no more mums on Halloween in front of City Hall. So, you learn, and it's nobody's fault. It's just one of those things that happens. And, I could have come down here, I guess, and watered them. I don't even know where the water faucet is, but I guess I could have found it. But to me, now that we know that water is an issue as far as getting it done, thinking of these other ways that we don't have to use as much water is great to me.
I don't understand why we're going to sprinkler system.
Okay, anybody got any more questions or anything to say, any new business?
Only other thing I was going to ask about is, do we have, I haven't looked and seen, do we have anything in the plans for like a trash day, or like maybe getting the citizens out and us, city employees, and any citizens that want to help try to pick up some of this trash that you go
So-
down the right of ways, I mean, on a daily basis, you can drive anywhere in Durant and there's trash and the, you know, the lint and trees and stuff like
It's
that. We just-
everywhere.
we
So
need to
this,
get-
the
Even
serve
trash
day
bags.
that's April 2nd, they're gonna be having a pickup. I know the chamber was supposed to be doing a pickup tomorrow for United Acts of Kindness Day, but that's more than likely not going to happen due to the rain coming in. And then the chamber also has Durant Keep Durant Green and Clean that they do on Earth Day, I believe that's in April, or they also do a pickup. But I think I think it would be really beneficial if we try to do something before the OMAG people come in March, so that we can make sure that's taken care of. And then again, you know, before the entire conference comes. But I'd love for us to do like a serve monthly. I know Brandon and I think even Sarah and I have talked about, it'd be amazing if we could have, instead of, you know, the Serve Durant just happening twice a year, if we could give our citizens an opportunity to serve every single month and volunteer in our community, whether that is going and picking up trash downtown or at the park or at the on-ramps, or helping to, you know, repaint, like we talked about, the parking spots and the curbs, you know, just a way for them to get plugged into our committee and, or our community and give back. So I think that's a great idea that we all need to explore.
Do we have enough trash cans, just regular trash cans around town?
No, ma'am.
We don't, Philip?
No.
Is there any way we could get more trash cans around town to help prevent some of this? I mean, do we have it? I know we got some. No, we don't really want you know, the cute little trash cans we got sitting around town? Wouldn't it?
Are you talking about the dumpster, not the big roll-offs, but the smaller?
No, I'm
No,
talking
Dean,
about
the ones that
downtown,
are the
just the
smaller
little-
ones that
the
you,
little
on
trash
the
cans.
corner.
Like on the corner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Okay.
we don't have those, we have, I don't believe
I-
that.
Yeah, that's something that would help, I think, if we had more of those around town. And then behind those stores by the railroad track, I think, to me, the only thing that's gonna help that is to keep those things closed and locked, and well, we can't make them, I guess, but request that the tenants in there put everything in trash bags instead of just,
That's hard.
well, they don't do it, they're not,
Well, they don't, and we're fixing this. It hasn't ever been enforced on commercial property.
okay?
Has anyone ever checked into, I know you use the smaller containers behind the buildings. Okay, we have the companies that make these bigger ones, the bigger roll-offs, it's got the packer and the container all connected together. All right, you can put when we were building, when I was working in the business, what was called a doghouse over the hopper opening. And you could put in a key system. How would something like that work behind the buildings and each business have a key lock?
We had that, Jean. As a business owner downtown, we had that, and the locks were cut off like the very next day.
These are like punch buttons.
Oh, no, that I'm not sure on, but the locks that we did have, they did not last very long.
Go down by Salitas has the type of system that I'm talking about. I don't know that they've got the lock system on there, but like apartment complexes, they would buy a smaller unit and each apartment would have a number. In order to access the compactor or the unit, they would have to put that number in there before they could dump their trash. More expensive than the 3, 4, 5 yards, 10, 12 yards that you're using out there. But something like that might work. Of course, the businesses they would have to split the cost, or the cost would be determined by how many times they used it. Excuse me.
But how can you, there's no way to tell how many times this business uses it more than this business. Then you're gonna have business owners that say, I'm not paying for it because they're using more.
They'd have a code, right? The business owners would have a code.
What you're probably seeing at Salitas is they probably purchased that, it's a compact.
Yeah. Well, they could,
Yeah, and so that's probably why it's
some of the
like that.
businesses, when we were building them, some of the businesses, in malls, they would, use them like that. But, the real small ones were very popular in the you know, at some point in time, that may be something that might be one to consider. I wish I could remember what that system was called, but I've been out of business too long to remember.
Some of it's gonna depend on the people, cause I know I was driving down Arkansas one day and I saw someone coming out behind one of those businesses and they had a trash can and they were dumping it over into and papers were flying everywhere. It should have been in a plastic bag, you know, and I don't understand why.
The dumpsters have the same compliance as polycars. The trash has to be in a sack, in a plastic bag, and they can't be over the top of the lid. Whenever they started implementing the polycar ordinance a couple of years ago, you know, everything was brought up to code because we haven't been doing that. And we started it, nobody realized that the commercial was the same way except for dumpsters. The lids had to shut, blah, blah, blah. That, we're working on implementing that now because frankly, we've had people say, I don't care what you do, we're gonna put trash in them until we can't put any more trash in.
Well,
And that makes it difficult for our trucks to pick them up.
well, it does, plus behind those buildings, we have people 2 or 3 times a year go pick up all that trash by the railroad. It just comes right back. Because they're not, none of the, I don't think hardly any of those dumpsters are totally shut. They leave them open, and then if the homeless people do come in and they drag stuff out,
A lot of them, the bags are ripped open in the dumpster, and that's when they start filling. We have ordered lids, and they've been on order since last November.
I believe that.
For people to put, we've ordered dumpsters, new dumpsters. We're hoping we'll get those around March first. But here's the deal. What we paid for 4 dumpsters this time last year, we can buy 2.
So that means they're gonna have to go up. So you're gonna have people screaming and which,
We don't have the budget to buy a lot of dumpsters. So,
well, and the people don't have really, if you wanna get right down to it, people don't have the money to pay a lot of extra for stuff right now. I think did you have your hand up, Sarah? I'm sorry.
So just even for the business, one of the biggest issues is it's not even them who are just using those dumpsters because they aren't locked. You've got people that are bringing their
Yep.
stuff and putting it in there, and that's why it can't close. It's almost like which part you do first to make sure that you're charging businesses for a lot of stuff that's not even theirs. I look at gas and gas, there's no way they're putting all those boxes in there.
And see, they should be putting those to recycle. Those should go in the recycle bin. But we have, up at my business, we have a huge big dumpster. And we can't put anything in it. It's always full. So we solved that problem. We moved it inside the gate and locked it. And in fact, my son even dug a trash bag out and found somebody's address and called them and asked them if they knew it was a misdemeanor. And they come down and got their trash.
ideally,
But we don't have time to do that with,
if you have like, say, the new loves out there, they have their dumpsters inside
the little wooden,
inside a wood, but if you could put those behind each one of those buildings where they could slide their dumpsters in there.
That, you guys can
Still access them, well,
that'd be really good.
I actually sent an ordinance to John about that, probably, I don't know, 6 to 8 months ago, just for the beautification of it not seeing dumpsters, just for it to look nicer.
it was, and she brought up a point, it may be the reason it's not like that is because you can't get truck access to it.
Mhm.
You know, not all of our trucks have winches on them that capable of pulling them around. We're working on the trash bill, trust me. I mean, we're trying.
Well, most of them need to be put behind fences because they're so ugly.
But what you find out when they don't, if they can't just put it in the dumpster when it's around the fence, they just throw it over the top. And then it's scattered everywhere, because bags left over.
I I wish we had a camera hooked up at all these places to watch what people do. It's amazing to me what people, makes you wonder if they do that at their own homes.
And it's like that at all the apartment complexes. We moved some roll-off out to accommodate them because they're just so full of trash. And, which we're gonna do away with 4-yard dumpsters and make smaller dumpsters. They'll even be smaller, but the 4 yards there are trucks in. They're just too big.
Okay. Anybody else? Do we want to call, do we hear a motion for adjournment?
I'll motion we adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Call for the vote. Thank goodness Mike's not here, he wouldn't want to adjourn. Motion passes, we adjourn. Thank y'all all so much, and I would like to say that anyone that ever has any ideas, if you want to share them, we'll listen. We don't say that we can always do them, but we will certainly listen and talk to you about them. So, I love ideas, and I certainly don't have all of them. I got a few, but not all of them. So, appreciate all the help from all of y'all. Carrie, you help a lot, and Sarah, I appreciate you meeting with me that day and everything, and I enjoyed our little meeting out there, Philip, in the hall. Thank y'all all so much for coming today, and Andy, thank you so much, and we will be, I want to go home and sit down and look at this when I got some good sense left. I'm so tired, Humphrey, I don't know whether I'm washing or hanging out.